Let's reproduce the problem. So we're going to fill the sink up with some water. Going to pull this, turn the water on. See where it's coming out from the crack? It's also cracked here. Doing dishes the other night, I noticed that the disposal stopped working. And then the underside of the sink, underneath the sink, was all wet. First, I obviously thought there was a leak, but I did an initial inspection of the pipes. Pipes looked good, everything was dry, except the bottom of the disposal. Now this disposal has a circuit breaker. So the water, there's a red circuit breaker, I don't know if you can see it there. It had tripped the circuit breaker because water got inside the motor. Well, at first I thought the motor had froze up. So there was no blockage. Everything was fine here. There was no blockage. But what I discovered upon inspection, that the housing was cracked. Inspection, as you can see here, there's rust spots. So this has been corroding and rusting for some time. There's a rust spot here. It's really bad. But on the other side, on the back side, where it's always a pain in the butt, as you'll know, if you work on anything, the issue will be in the most pain in the butt area to get to. As case in point here. First things first, when you're working on electrical, go ahead and kill your power here. Kill your power, and then confirm that everything's off. So this is the disposal switch, and I'm assuming the outlets use the same power. There's our meter. Confirm that the power is off. What I did is I already did this step. So here's the cable from the wall. This was attached to the disposal. I already went ahead and put an end on here. But if you want to do this in stages, what I first did is I took a mirror. This is kind of a waste of time, I suppose, but if you want to do this disposal swap out in stages, the first stage would be to disconnect and put on a power plug. You can without disconnecting everything, so what you could do is just do the connector one session and then the next session. So I used a mirror and I disconnected this piece here. I loosen that and then unloosen these wires. I just used a mirror to so I didn't have to crane my neck to see the outlet. I mean, to see the wires. And then obviously took these come off with wire nuts. These were wire nuts on. And then I went ahead and put a connector on this. The wire coming from, this is the disposal switch wire. So I just used a mirror, and you can do this step ahead of time. So like maybe you want to do this one step and then wait a few days. This took about I would say about an hour. By the time I killed the power, found the circuit, got all my tools out, got this mirror out, disconnected everything. So I'm going to put down about an hour to do this work, but I did this ahead of time. I just want to show you my results afterwards, but I did this ahead of time. Okay, next step, I'm just going to plug up the drains for now. We're going to be taking this out, but I'm going to disconnect the pipes first, so I'm going to plug up this drain now. I went ahead and installed a light under my sink a long time ago so I could light up the area. it goes underneath in this top plate here. Just put a light with a switch, just so I can see. Now my cabinet doors, this is as far as it can go because it's jammed up against the stove, which is kind of annoying. But and then my cabinets have this middle piece. I can't take it out, so we're going to have to work around it. So I went ahead and put a drop cloth down because this is going to be messy. And here's my drop cloth. Here's my slop bucket pan. And basically I'm going to have it over, because we're going to take this connection off and then this one here. But I just wanted to show you an overview of our setup here. And then we have our slop bucket. We got some rags, and then I got some vinegar to clean. Okay, first thing, I'm going to go ahead and there's a screw on each side. I'm wearing gloves, Harbor Freight Special. I'm going to go ahead and take off the dishwasher clamp here, and then I'm going to tie that off. So yeah, you just work it off and make sure this is nice and loose. And this is your dishwasher. And you can look inside to make sure it's not plugged. I don't see any plug. So I'm going to just tuck that off. You could put a little rag in there if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to tuck it off like that. And then I'm going to get this back one first. And there's a going to get this. You can't see it, but it's on the other side. And then this one. And then disconnect it here. So these look like so I'm screwing this out here, as you can see. I'm going to put these aside because I don't know if the new one has these, so I'm going to put these aside. And then this plate comes off, and then there's a rubber O-ring inside here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I'm going to zoom out. And then I'm going to take this off here. It should just be hand tight. But if it's not, yeah, that was just hand tight. Then I'm going to put my bucket over here because this could get water. And then there's a little gasket. And then I'm going to take this out first. And that kind of just wedges out. Never mind. Oh, just leave that there then. Okay, and the disposal lift up, I think. So use our screwdriver. Just turn like that, and then it should fall. Just like that. That was grody. Yuck. Well, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that outside. But this is, I did get a new one of these. Looks like it's cracked there. That's grody. Put it in our slop bucket. There are 3 of those. That's what holds it in. took a Sharpie and marked where those flanges are. And then on the other side too. At least I thought I did. And then I'll loosen up those and take my stopper out. I'll loosen up. I just want to make sure they align correctly. So as you can see here, this is the old one. This has got the flange. Looks like plumber's putty. And then the fiber gasket. I went ahead and loosened each one of these bolts. Didn't take them all the way out. Now I did have to shove it up. And basically what I'm looking for, there's a gap. There's a snap gap in that snap ring. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to point to it. See that snap ring here? Let's see if I can rotate it. Basically we have to expand the snap ring. And you have to get it off. It's going to take two hands, or two screwdrivers, and basically you expand that snap ring and pop it off. Gap, I'm going to shove two screwdrivers and pull that apart. I actually do have some snap ring pliers. Let me make this easier. So we have some snap ring pliers. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in there, force these in there, that gap, pull it apart and pull the ring down. Takes some finesse, but you can use screwdriver as well. Okay, it's going to take some finessing. It's going to take several times, but you get the idea. And then you get another hand and take the screwdriver and pry it out. This is probably one of the most pain in the butt parts. It's not too bad, but you just have to fight with it a little bit. Expanded it really far with the snap ring pliers. Really far, and then this just came all the way down. So yeah, it fits in this top groove here. The snap ring pliers do. I mean the snap ring. We're going to put it in our slop bucket, and then this just comes off. And then there's, just take a putty knife over it. Basically you got to take all that crap out. So that just falls out, and then this just pushes out. This is the old one. So basically I just pushed it out here. And then I'm going to take my putty knife. I got my slop bucket, and I'm just going to clean all this up here and then put some vinegar, soaked vinegar, and clean all this up. And then likewise on the bottom side, on the other side, not all up with your putty knife. See, it's just falling apart. That's why you want your slop bucket. Here's your slop bucket, so all the crap falls down in there. And wear safety glasses, so you don't want that crap in your eyes. So just clean all that up, and then afterwards I'm going to take a vinegar soaked rag and then clean that up from there. So vinegar, and this is just a paper towel soaked in vinegar. And as you can see, you can use a little Brillo pad here. You want this really clean, and then you might make sure your slop bucket's down there. And so that we're going to the top side here, and you just want to scrub that and make sure it's super clean. There's some debris there, and then you go down on the other side here. I mean, you're going to clean all around that rim. The same deal. Same deal with your vinegar rag. So if you have a little scrubby, obviously throw this away after you do this, but scrub that down. And this helps too. A little scrubby. I probably wouldn't use steel wool because it'll scratch it. Probably want to use these little pads here. And then just make sure it's really, really clean, and then you do the other side. You can actually, if you're wearing gloves, this is going to be sharp, really, really sharp. You can go on the other side and clean the other side too. Just put your fingers, cup it, but remember this is really freaking sharp, this edge. So this helps so you're not looking up, staring up on the other side. But we're just going to really clean this really well. I finished cleaning this, but I'm taking a little light and I'm closely examining it. It's going to be too bright for the camcorder here, but I'm closely examining that edge to make sure there's no little debris or no stuck on gaskets. It did get scratched up with my putty knife, which I probably shouldn't have been so aggressive, but I'm going to go on like I'm doing here, like and examine it with this bright light. And then I'm going to go on the other side and making sure there's all the gasket material and all the plumber's putty has been removed. This is really important. So I'm also going to examine this area too and make sure that's all clean. Okay, so I got a 1.5 inch extension tube, plastic, and I didn't see this, maybe I wasn't looking, so I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the old one, but I'm going to steal this gasket. I'm going to steal this gasket from the kit, and I'm going to keep this plate. I don't know if the new one has this or not, but I want to steal this piece, take this piece, I'm going to leave that piece. So I'm going to clean this pipe out, maybe scrub it out outside because it's pretty grungy. But I'm going to prepare that pipe now. Okay, here's the parts. This is what it comes with. We're going to need that gasket. Obviously we're going to need all the parts, but this is what it says it needs. Hacksaw, putty knife, pliers, screwdriver, hammer, plumber's putty, and then electrical connector. I don't know if we have that. We have to steal it from the other one. So here's the unit. If you have a dishwasher, you got to bust that plug out. If you don't have a dishwasher, leave that in. We have a dishwasher, so I'm going to bust that plug out with a screwdriver. Bust that plug out if you have a dishwasher. Okay, I put a towel to protect my floor. I have a 2x4, and that's the same height. And then I want to take a screwdriver, hammer, and I bust this plug out because I have a dishwasher. I bust that plug out, and then you're going to retrieve it on the other side here. Bust that plug out if you have a dishwasher. There's the plug. You got to fish it out. Fish it out, and this is because I have a dishwasher. So I cleared. This is the plug. Got to make sure you got it all. So yeah, you want to bust that plug out because I have a dishwasher. So toss that away. Make sure there's no other crap inside your garbage disposal. So this is the old connector from the other one. I had to rob it from the other one, but you may need to buy this because the instructions say right here you may need to buy it, and the wire nuts we may need to buy as well because we're putting a corded unit on there. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, but I had to take from the other one, or you can buy this. Okay, so I'm going to screw this in. It's the old one and I cleaned it up. Just screws in. just finger tight. But gloves, because these are sharp edges. These are sharp edges, but I'm just going to put it in finger tight. And then we got to take that off there with a Phillips. And then we'll be able to reach our wires. So you just want to screw this plate off, because we're putting a corded one on, and then you want to put this aside. So here's our connectors. And like I said, it didn't come with wire nuts, so you're going to have to supply your own wire nuts. So I went ahead and got this, because they were all out of the corded, to make this a corded, because I don't want to hardwire this. I want to have a plug. So this is a standard 6-foot 3-prong appliance. This is rated at 13 amps. I want to show you a picture here. They were all out of the corded. They had a snap quick connect one that was, but I'd have to cut off the end. And again, you can go that route. So according to their diagram here, this bottom one put over. And according to this diagram here, the bottom plug is the live wire. We can put a meter on this, but it's the bottom wire. So I'm going to follow it. I don't need 6 feet for this disposal, but whatever. So this one here is the live one. That's the black one, so that'll go to black. I'm going to get some new wire nuts, but I'm just going to tie this off for right now so I can get my other wire nuts. But that's black. Okay, we're going to feed it through here. And I curved it, so that's the black one. I curved it. And again, you can buy a disposal that's already corded. I'm putting on a cord myself, so you got to fish it out from here. Maybe. Okay, I'm curving it like this to feed it through. And then I'm going to have to figure out which my black is, because I'm going to put a meter on it. Because it's just kind of being a little pain. You can get tweezers to fish this through, or needle nose pliers. But yeah, you can. I got one. But yeah, you're going to have to kind of fight with it. Pliers. Make sure they didn't get all scraped up and crapped up when it went through that metal fitting. And I'm just going to take my meter on here to figure out which one's black again. I guess this one was it because it was curved. I'm going to double check though, just double check. So according to the instructions, the bottom one is live. So we'll just walk it through and trace it through. So I'm going to go ahead and use the old wire nuts because I don't have any for my spare. Black to black, I figured it out. Actually, you want to twist these first, I'm sorry. Twist these with either pliers or your fingers. Make sure you twist them really good. And then the wire nuts just twist on. That's annoying, the styrofoam noise, but sorry. And now this doesn't have a ground, because my wire from my wall doesn't have a ground. Guess we could connect it anyways, but yeah, you just kind of rinse and repeat and do the second one. And this one, we're going to attach it here, even though my wire from my ground, I don't have, my house wire doesn't have a ground. I'm going to go ahead and tap these, clean these, tape these up with electrical tape, just so they don't come loose. I always keep this end out so I can pull it off next time I have to do this. And then hook it to that green. So here's what we're looking like. So I tuck these in, connected there, and then there's that little plate that we're going to screw on here. And I want to push this in a little bit because I have plenty of room. And we're going to put the little plate on here. I went ahead and hooked the ground even though my line from my house doesn't have a ground. But someday if I was to rewire that, this would already be wired for ground. I wouldn't have to open this up. Tuck those in and then put that little plate on. So here's the little plate. Just line it up in the stops. Make sure it rests between that stop, that stop, that stop. And just screw it down, but not super tight. Just snug, because when you have to redo this again. There you go. And then I'm just going to tighten this a little bit here. I'm not going to squish it super tight here. Just going to tighten it just a little bit, because I don't want to bite into that insulation. You could put some electrical tape around there if you really want, but I'm not going to. Okay, this is snug, but I can still push the wire, and I'm pushing a little bit in, but I can still push the wire. Just want to snug it, but not like super tight that you pinch this jacket. So yeah, here's my cord, and we'll connect this last. So this is the new one. So there's the fiber gasket. They got it all. So then they put the snap ring in there. So we're going to have to pop that snap ring out, put this in, plumber's putty, and then take that back out. So they already put this together for us, but so we have to kind of take this apart. So basically I'm just unloosening all these. Some of these are finger tight. Kind of rotten that they put the snap ring in there, because then you have to fight it, but I guess it's so they don't lose it. But I'm taking these all the way down, pushing these up to get to my snap ring, and then we'll put the snap ring aside. So I'm just taking these almost, I'm not taking them all the way out. Don't take them all the way out. Maybe something like that. Want to give enough room to get to that snap ring. And so we have practice now to get the snap ring out. And so here's the gap. You can either use your fingers if you're really strong, or if you have some internal snap ring pliers thingies, and just get it. Whatever your method is, I have these, but whatever your method is to fight with it. So even though I have these, it's being a pain in the butt, so I'm going to have two hands. There. So here's the gap. I've got my snap ring pliers, and they're kind of pissing me off a little bit. There you go. I don't know if you saw that. But we got it. I wish they would have not packed this in there, because you have to fight with that. That wastes time. But here's the snap ring. Put this aside. Here's the unit. So this all comes out. Or at least it should. It all slips out. Just like that. And then this. So this, we're going to put plumber's putty all around where this right here. Plumber's putty all around there. So yeah, put this aside. Again, that kind of sucks that they put that in there, I guess, but look, that saves a waste time. Okay, the plumber's putty. you just have to form it around here. They said a 1/2 inch rope. It's just kind of like putty that you played with as a kid. But then we'll run our fiber gasket. All this excess will pop off. And then we'll clean all this excess off. But I'm just kind of pushing it down. That's why I'm wearing gloves. This stuff's non-toxic, but and then all that stuff we'll wipe off when we put it in the sink. But I'm just squishing it down here. And that marking is from the stainless steel. And then we'll put the fiber washer on. You close your plumber's putty up. So here's our instructions here. So we're going to put this down the sink first, and then our fiber gasket goes right up against it on the bottom of the sink. I don't know if you can see here. So this is part B, and I'm pushing this down pretty hard, and I'm actually putting the so the writing is up, and I'm pushing this down evenly. We're going to wipe that plumber's putty off later, but I want to push this down evenly. Even force. Can go like this. Even force. So on the back side, we're going to put this gasket and then the backup flange and all that good stuff. So here's what it looks like on the other side. And then we're putting our fiber washer and then this fiber washer and then that according to the instructions. I went ahead and had some exercise weights. Put some plastic so it doesn't stick. This is one of them. Or you can have a buddy hold this down. But because we're going to be so busy down here getting all this contraption with our hands, I thought, so we have our fiber washer on. You're going to have to fight it. It's never easy. Gotta get comfy. And you want to line up these to these. I don't know if that makes sense. And then snap ring. Probably should tape that up. Push all this crap up and get your snap ring over the lip. Come on. Okay, we got it. Make sure it's up there. I'm making sure I'm pressing down. I know you probably can't see it, but I'm pressing in the groove to make sure the snap ring's into place. And it looks like it is. It's kind of a dumb design, but whatever. And I'm going to put my grip, my gap facing me, so the next time I have to do this, I'm not fishing around for this stupid snap ring. I think they would make a better design, but I'm pushing. So the snap ring fits in that groove, so I'm just pushing it all around. Probably can't see with this camcorder, but there's a groove here that snap ring falls into. And you got to push it all around. Make sure it's all the way up in that groove, and then you can move your snap ring around. So we have fiber washer, we have backing plate. Now I'm going to line these how I have my marks from last time. I don't know if it really matters, but that's the way it was last time. So then you just tighten these up evenly, and then you want it nice and even. You want to tighten those screws up nice and even. So you want to tighten a little bit here, a little bit back, a little bit back. You want to make sure it's all even. That plate comes up even. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm going to get it so it's snug, but so I can still move it around. I guess you could count the turns. I'm not really counting the turns, but I'm going to kind of line it up where my marks were last time. And I'm not going to tighten it super tight yet. I'm just kind of, and so that's tight. I mean, it's not super snug, just so I can move this around. See, that one lines up with my mark, that one mark. So then it just goes into place. So that's our setup there. So here's our, obviously I use way too much plumber's putty. So we're just going to scrape that off with our putty knife. We're just going to scrape all that off and clean all that up. So that's excessive. Obviously I am not a professional. I've only done a few disposal switch outs, change outs. So I'm going to clean all this up here. It pulls right off because it's not all brittle and old. So yeah, I just pull that right off. So easy that comes off. Obviously I wasted a whole bunch there. It says a 1/2 inch rope. So I'm just cleaning this up here, as you can see, with my putty knife. So yeah, that's pretty easy because it's not all dried and old. So yeah, I just clean that up, as you can see there. Clean this out with vinegar soaked little towelette here, just to clean those threads up, because we're going to be ready to put this drain pipe on. I cleaned it out as good as I could. If you really wanted to, you could replace it. I'm not. Mine's is in pretty decent condition. It's just a little grimy. But yeah, I'm just cleaning these threads up a little bit. This is the old tube. I cleaned it up pretty good. I took a rag with vinegar and cleaned this up. You could get a new one, but mine's is pretty good. So this is the old one that I cleaned up. It's not bad. Still got some goopy in there, but I didn't want to cut it. If yours is bad and yours is grimy, then get a new one. But I cleaned this up, vinegar and soap and water, and I cleaned it up as best as I could. It's still a little grimy, but I'm going to use it because I don't want to cut and repurpose a new one. Customize a new one. Kit, this 1/2 inch 12-inch extension comes with this is for a regular sink. It comes with a couple gaskets. So this is the new one, new gasket for the disposal. This is the new plate. This one fits better because it fits what I have here. This is more like the old. This is more like the old one. So I'm going to put this aside. This is new. I'm not going to use it. So beveled goes out. It's going to be like this. Just press on, and then here's our nut. So I have about a 3/4 inch. Again, here's the beveled. It goes inside the seat, just like this. I'm going to push it in, and then of course that screws on. I'm just temporarily holding that in place. This is set up on this side. Again, I'm not tightening this down, it's just to hold it. Just to hold it. Okay, I used the styrofoam from the packing and then cut out a little, just push that out with my fingers for the cord. You're going to see an arrow there. I don't know if you can see this arrow. That matches up. Not sure what that matches up to. But so this is the orientation. And this just moves like that. I mean, this is on there. There's a little bit of play, but that's the way it's going to go. So these tabs here are going to screw on, and it's going to screw on, and then it's going to ride up. So this tab is going to line up with here, and then it's going to thread on. But that's the orientation that we want. I guess now I'm going to tighten this up. I'm going to tighten these up. Okay, I tightened each of those pretty tight. Not really tight, but pretty tight. Almost bottoming out. Just so this doesn't slide around. Doesn't slide around. It's tight. So it's tight here, tight in the back, tight here. Nope. Okay, I lined it up there. That's pretty freaking tight. Lined it up to my mark here. I guess I didn't put a mark here. But I probably have it pretty freaking tight so this doesn't move around. Maybe 30 foot-pounds. Kind of horsed on it pretty hard. Tighten it up pretty freaking tight. Okay. Check the tabs. Make sure it's steady. This little wrench that they give you, you want to force it in there and push it pretty hard until it locks. This will still move around a little bit. See, I'm moving this around a little bit just so it lines up. This all lines up. And this lines up. This all lines up. Now I'm going to go around and check to make sure all my tabs are tight. Make sure this is sitting straight and flush and even all around. Make sure it's snug in there. Make sure everything lines up. Yeah, I'm going to look around with my flashlight. I can't see the camcorder too easily, but I'm going to check to make sure all my tabs line up and make sure they're on the racetrack okay. Or the thread or the ramp, whatever that's called. And you're going to look on the back side too. I can't see it and move the camcorder at the same time, but you're going to have to look all around and make sure that thing is up there. And use this little wrench, this little jam nut, and make sure it's nice and freaking tight. Okay, tip. See this indentation here? That's so you can get your screwdriver. So that, I guess, is a pretty good indication here. Each one of these will have an indentation all around. I can't move the camcorder, but there you go. And then right to the left is going to be this tab. There's a tab here. And then you can feel your hand, but this is really sharp can feel your hand and make sure it's locked into place. And then you can fill the other side, and then all around there's three of them. So next stop on this merry-go-round here is we got to connect this, and we got our gasket, and I think there should be enough. We unloosen that. There should be enough in there. I'm moving that there, and then this gasket pushes in. Okay, so I'm just tightening this in finger tight for now. I'm getting each side so it goes on evenly. A little bit here, a little bit there. And then I'm going to tighten this a little bit here, and then a little bit on the back side. Okay, I tightened this pretty tight. Not like super tight because you don't want that gasket popping out. And I tightened it on the other side. I tightened this. So then this here goes up against here. We could put some Teflon tape, but we didn't have it last time. So I'm just pushing this seat in here. And then I'm going to tighten this hand tight. I'm just pushing that seat in. And then we want to hand tight this. Like I said, I got the same model of garbage disposal so I wouldn't have to mess up my plumbing orientation. Yeah, we can clean this out a little bit here with a vinegar rag. You know the drill. Make it a mess. See how garbage? Yuck. Get another paper towel. That's why we got our drop cloth. And I just want to clean the inside of this out really well. That's pretty good. There's a little goop there. And then this is going to force it on all the way to that lip. Make sure your clamp is on. Here's your clamp. Push it on. And then I always put my clamp so I'm tightening it. I think this is an automotive clamp. I don't like those snap rings for hose clamps, but again, you don't want to tighten this super tight. Just snug enough. There we go. So this is tight, this is tight, this is tight. See, the old one split. Well, I showed you the old one. So now the moment of truth. We fill up the sink and make sure there's no, before we plug it in. So here's our plug. Now we want to fill up the sink with water. Okay, see, when I tightened it down, my plumber's putty got all gooped up. Obviously I put too much plumber's putty, only about a ½ inch. But obviously I'm not a professional, so you just scrape this off. See, that's pretty easy. And just clean that up. And then we'll fill this with water because now it's all tight and everything's tight. Okay, now we're going to fill this up with water. And we already had this one closed off. We can open it up. So we're going to fill this up with cold water. And then we're going to pull the plug and then check for leaks. Okay, it's filled up. Before we pull the plug, I'm wiping all this down to make sure there's no water dripping. Making sure there's no water. Because there was a little water when we connected this up. But I just want to make sure there's no water. Make sure it's holding. Just obviously if there's, I'm wiping it down first because if it leaks, now we're going to pull the plug and check to see for leaks. Oh shit, we have leaks right there. Put the plug back in. Right there, so what do? We take it all apart and maybe plumber's putty or something. Okay, I'm a super moron. Super moron. I went ahead and put aviation gasket sealer on that sucker. But I'm a super moron. There's the gasket. Gasket goes inside. Wow, I am a super moron. So for that part of the video, please, the gasket goes inside. Just like that. I put a bunch of gasket sealer around there just so that sucker doesn't leak. And then we're going to put this back together. Okay, I'm such a moron. Such a freaking moron. So again, push this in. You know, make sure it's all fit like before. Gasket goes inside. And then that pushes in. I'm going to screw this in. I am such a moron, folks. I'm such a moron. So the same procedure, you know the drill. But make sure the gasket goes inside. Tight. Really freaking tight. This is hand tight. This is pretty freaking tight. Make sure the gasket goes inside, and I put a ton of gasket sealer on that sucker. Glue that sucker in. This is tight here. Hand tight, but pretty freaking tight. Okay, let's see if this sucker leaks again. We have a drip here, but I think that's from before. I think that's from before, that drip. So I heard it go through here. I don't see any other leaks. Let's do that again. So while that's filling up with water, checking around for leaks around there. And of course here, this shouldn't leak here. Only when the dishwasher's going, but... And then of course I put a ton of gasket sealer. My freaking favorite gasket sealer. 3H. This is aviation gasket sealer. For when you work on aircraft. I've used this stuff for over 30 freaking years. I hate when I have leaks. I would only put this on the drain. Never ever put this on the supply lines. We're going to see if this helps. Stuff's messy as all heck. But, so it's filling up with water. We'll look all around, make sure there's no leaks, no drips. Make sure this is clean here, no drips. Obviously we didn't mess with that. So let's see how our sink's doing. We're about a third of the way up. So we're going to pull the plug and check our magic here. I can hear it going through here. That's good. That's good. That's good flow. So I don't see any leaks. This is no leaks here. So pretty confident. Now what we can do, we can plug it in and actually try it with some water flushing through. I don't see any leaks all around. I think we sealed the sucker. Let's plug it in and give it a go. Okay, filling up with water here. Check for leaks again. We are plugged in, but just temporarily. We'll tuck this up later. But we're plugged in. Hopefully our connections, hopefully we did everything correctly here. We're plugged in. We have 6 feet of cable here. I think it's a little wet from last time. And just make sure there's no freaking leaks. The leaks we hate. Hate leaks. Don't see anything here. This is about a third of the way up. Got it. Now let's hit the switch. Okay, how are we doing? No freaking leaks. It sure shook it. Pack this up. this cord. I'm going to tack it up probably back here or somewhere out of so it's not in the way. I'm going to obviously clean up the area, but I'm not going to put stuff back for a few days, maybe even a week, just to make sure there's no leaks, because I don't want to put a bunch of crap back here, bunch of storage, and then we find it's all wet and stuff. So I'm going to clean up the area, throw all this stuff away except my tools obviously, and then we're going to tack it up here, maybe be a little zip tie or something, just clean up this wire, and then I'm going to update my sheet there, and then I want to not put stuff away for about a week, make sure there's no leaks, and occasionally check this. So we don't want to see any freaking leaks. No freaking leaks. So far so good. I don't see any leaks here.